Ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest today. One of my great friends, also someone that started in the space, and just a guy. Just give everyone a little bit of background. Nick on Facebook, he goes by Richard, but we know him as Nick. Nick actually came to me almost end of 2021, 2022, right, Nick?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
That time you were working a full-time job, a really good full-time job, right? Pretty much leading America's transportation for goods and services. We won't name any companies because they got to give a raise if we do, and for this podcast. But I've known Nick for a very long time. From ever since I met Nick, he's always been someone that has always been trying to improve themselves, someone that's always trying to level up. And I'm just very excited to share his story, just because it's not who I remember him in the past, but who he has become, as of today. It's a very different person as of, 2021. And even though it's a short amount of time, it's just a lot of growth. And I'm happy to see a lot of my friends, grow. So to kind of start off, Nick, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and what you currently do as of today.
Yeah, so Jesse already said it. My name's Nick. We met, me and Jesse go way back to elementary school, but what it started in a parking lot a couple years ago. We just randomly ran into each other and then just kind of started just chopping it up about stuff, about what we were doing. I told you I was working at, I can say now I was working at UPS. So just working there and then just kind of seeing what you were doing online and stuff. And then you told me about your credit class and I took the class. The course was very eye-opening. I didn't know that much about credit. My parents always told me, to stay away from credit, don't stay away from credit cards, because they just kind of didn't know, what it was about and how to actually utilize their credit to do things. So, after the class, a lot of things made sense. And then, I kind of just kept it pushing and ended up starting a credit repair business just like you did. And now, I'm able to help people, kind of understand things where I was lacking as well. And help them understand things so they can kind of get into the same position that we all want to be in when it comes to even getting credit cards or starting a business with having good credits. You don't have to come out of pocket with anything. A lot of people, it's just a lot of good information people should know and need to know. And I'm just glad that I learned it so that, I can obviously spread it around to people now.
Yeah. Well, speaking about credit repair business, obviously me and you have a credit repair business, but one of the main reasons we got into credit repair is because the business is because of credit. Right. So I know after you fix your credit, you went to a couple of businesses. Like, what kind of businesses did you get into?
So my most recent one, I started an ATM business solely on credit, just because I had a good credit score and I didn't have to come out of pocket, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, something like that to start the business. So I was able to utilize my credit and then leverage it to, start my ATM business, buy my ATM, find a good scouting team to put it in the right spot. And yeah, pretty much just get it going from there and have people, just have your credit work for you. So that way you can work less in the future.
Yeah. And why would you say, right? Because there's a lot of people that may have, $5,000 to $8,000 in the bank, right, for business, and a lot of people that might not have it. Why would you say it was important or like a good idea to actually have good credit and actually fund your business that way using credit instead of just coming out of pocket?
Well, whoever wants to come out of pocket, right? So we all, so if you we never want to spend all our hard-earned money, because then if we have $8,000 saved up and then we invest $8,000, now we don't have anything for us or our families or anything like that. And if we don't want the business to fail, but if, let's just say it does, we always got to prepare for the worst, right? Doesn't go good. Now you don't really have anything or nothing to fall back on. So when you're optimizing and leveraging your credit, you don't have to take that money out of pocket. There's always that security in the background too. So I think it's more for security. A lot of people look at it as another debt, but it's just, if you're utilizing your credit the right way and making it make money for you, nothing's really ever a debt when you're using your credit.
Right. And I think that's what some things people don't understand, right? There's some things called good debt and bad debt, right? And, I know you talk to a lot of people about fixing credit, but, you see a lot of people where when they invest in something, it's more like a gamble, right? It's like kind of putting money on a color on a roulette board compared to like working it out, right? And I know me and you, just because me and you talk a lot of business, when you approach a business idea with me, or if I bring a business idea of you, we get down to the X's and O's. Like we get to every single dollar. We make sure how, we know how long it's going to take to get, our investment back, how much the profit is, what the monthly payment of the loan is, and how much profit they make from that, and, why do you think that's important when investing with credit? And actually having people take those steps instead of just throwing money in the dark and just try to see if a business idea works.
Well, I think for the most part, they're just not well educated enough to know what they can do or what they can't do with their credit. So they're seeing everything as a risk, opposed to, kind of how me and you and I do it. We kind of like map it out, like exactly what you said, the monthly payment, what's the interest rate, how much am I going to profit from this either property or whatever business venture I am going into. If I'm going to start a digital store, or if I'm going to start an ATM business, if I'm going to take a loan out for ATM business, how much is my loan going to be? How much will the ATM make me at that spot? Will those two things make sense? And a lot of people, they probably don't understand that yet. So, it's kind of scarier to somebody to just jump into something without knowing what you're looking for.
Right.
If it's a good idea or if it's not a good idea, instead of just jumping to, I don't know about that, it's probably not a good idea. I don't know, you know what I mean? Instead of, just doing some research, learning, maybe you educate yourself, maybe you took a class here or there somewhere, and then now, you're able to critically think about some things and map it out and see if it makes sense or not.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that's one of the best things of taking my program when I first launched it, that not only could you have, bounce their idea around with other entrepreneurs that do business, but also, for myself, right? Like, not only do I have a credit business, I also have a lot of different vehicles that, make money monthly, right? So wouldn't you say, like, not only fixing your credit by having a resource like me and other entrepreneurs helping you pick a business and, hear out your business is a good thing to have in your back pocket?
Oh yeah, because most of the time, I mean, if you're talking to like-minded individuals who are doing the same thing as you, obviously they've already done it. One, two, they're successful, and three, they can tell you what works and what doesn't work. So
Yeah.
you can have an idea, like, I probably told you some stuff sometimes. I'm like, hey, Jesse, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And you're like, I've done that before. This is what happened. I kind of don't like this. I kind of like that. And you can kind of, it's more information that kind of maybe eases that fear with some people to be like, I don't know. I never got into this space. But if you're around people that are doing it, and just like how we were in that class, we were able to talk
Yeah.
about certain things. And if we had our ideas, obviously the more experienced people would speak up and be like, you know what, I don't know if you should do that. That's not a really good idea. Or, this worked for me. So let's, maybe you should try to go around this way, kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's one thing I know we really talked about with, our classes, right? Like, I never said, or the other entrepreneurs never said, like, don't do something, right? But we just always share that, what to look out for, right? Because we were less prepared in that regard, right? And I think that's a lot of thing with business. At the end of the day, businesses do work, because if businesses didn't work, no one would be killing it in that business, right? Whatever business you get into. But at least you have people that tried, and they can give them their output to kind of better prepare you for launching, your adventure with that business, right? So, going to, before, let's just say we bring it back to that car ride, because I remember that specific reason, right? I went to our hometown, right? And I know me and you were interacting on Twitter, me and then our mutual friend, we both grew up with since childhood. And then I remember that's how I followed you on Twitter, and you were selling like merch and clothing. That's how we met up. And then, we just stay connected. And then, I know one time you guys came to LA when I first launched like this pre-alpha class, right?
Mhm.
Before you joined this class, like, where would you say was your problem with when it came to credit? And like, what were the things that kind of made you think like, maybe I should take this class because of this credit problem? Like, what was that problem, you would say?
Um, for me, it was more, I remember my parents had really bad credit.
Yeah.
So I always, just knew I didn't want to have bad credit. And
Yeah.
the only thing I knew about credit at that time was just paying your bills on time. That's the only thing I knew. That's it. Just paying them on time, and you'll have good credit, everything will be fine. And boom, boom, boom. So when I first joined, that's all I really knew. And then
Right.
um and one main thing is I wanted to educate my parents and help them fix their credit that they messed up over the years because they just didn't know. And a bunch of stuff it was just a lot of mind-blowing things that, that's very easily attainable to people. If we take a course or if we take a class or anything like that, or just talk to people who know what they're, in the same space,
Right.
other successful people.
Nice. And I know, even like when I first met you, there was a lot of credit repair, credit coaching programs out there, right? Other than me being your boy, because I know that is a factor, right? But me and you have looked at credit courses together, right? Even like when I was like launching it, and even though I know you're looking on yourself before you invested in mine, like what would you say were some of the factors other than me being your boy that made you join the program and actually, and then after joining the program, like what did you find to see that was really different or just made, my program very significant to you or like very, impactful for you?
Oh, well, other than, being my boy, just, I mean, you can tell, like, just based off, I mean, I know social media, right? We all post stuff, but there's a lot of people who talk about credit who aren't really doing what they're talking about, right? Or even if you're saying stuff a certain way, it just doesn't, I'm a real person who, like, I'll look at the words and how you're saying stuff. If I know you and I know that that's not really how you talk. And I'm like, okay, you're not really, you're kind of full of shit. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like, I know that you weren't full of shit. I know that you are actually doing what you're preaching. Like you're practicing what you're preaching. Like you're talking about travel, you're talking about all these things you could do with credit, and then you're also doing it. It's not like you're just talking about it
Right.
and it's like, okay, yeah, that's it. Join my class. It's like, why would I join your class if, I mean, that's cool. Like it looks real tempting, but it's like it's not, that trust factor wasn't there besides the fact of me knowing you. So if I
Right.
didn't know you, I probably would still take your class because you give that trust factor and you're actually doing what you're doing. So why would I not want to learn from somebody who is doing what I'm trying to do at a successful pace?
Right.
So, and that's the main reason why I chose you over everybody else. Because I
Yeah.
did know a couple other credit people that I actually didn't know too. Like, so it's like,
Right.
hey, I was like, no, I'm still gonna go with Jess and go that way because I just don't know about you other guys, just based off, just trust
Right.
and ability.
And we also did, you right? Like even after my class, you did take a couple other classes, right? Just because credit's always new, right?
Yeah, it's always evolving. Yeah.
It's always evolving, and that's the cool thing about like our program, right? Like me and you and a lot of different credit repair guys, like we're always on top of it to report to the people that are joining our programs. But like even your experience of joining other programs after mine, like right, like now really it's to compare, but like what were some things you noticed? Like, hey, we had our program, you had that program. What were some things you're like, dang, like I'm surprised they didn't do this, or I like this better, like compare in mind, like what were some things that just really stood out?
I literally took a course one time after, and it was a guy said he knew a whole bunch of these travel hacks, this and that, all this stuff. And I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. And the dude was really just, it looked like he was just looking at like a YouTube screen, like just like reading off a piece of paper and the information, because I already knew most of the information anyway, but some of the information I was like, that's what you're really passing on to some of these people? Like the information wasn't there. So I'm just like, so that's the big difference between certain courses. And you see people who are actually doing it or people who are just making it seem like they're doing something just because they want to catch, however much money the course costs times by however many people they're just looking for a dollar amount,
Right.
And of course, you're going to have to pay for any type of valuable information. But, when you're paying a certain, to a lot of people, once you go over a certain threshold for money, you're expecting something, right? You're expecting something more valuable. And if you don't get that, then you're just going to get, mad or irritated, or you're going to, this and that. And, a couple other classes, that's kind of how it was. It's like I didn't get the same type of value or information or even a group setting with other entrepreneurs and people in there than when I had took your class a couple years
Yeah.
back. So it was completely, I mean, I don't want to say bullshit, but it was kind of bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, you guys are really just doing this. Like, it didn't make any sense. So it's
Right.
like, I mean, this goes to fact. It's just, just the difference of quality of, everybody could be saying the same thing, but, this person actually knows what he's doing. This person, doesn't, or vice versa.
Right. And maybe at one point in time what those people were sharing was valid, right? But like you said, it is different when you're in the field, right? When you're actually looking at their credit reports, picking, what process to use, picking what kind of consumer laws, what kind of steps you have to use, right? And again, some people live by the book and some people live by seeing every, their own credit every single day and many different clients every day. And just because one book says to do it one way doesn't mean it's the same, process for every single person, right?
Mhm.
So, obviously it sounds like you've made more money, than you invested with our program, right? Is there anything else particular in the program that helped you, or you just found that was super effective, other than me being in the field and being able to share with me in another group? Like, what else did you see that like was very particular that has made the next level change for your credit, compared to everything else you saw and then everything else?
Um, the amount of other successful entrepreneurs that kind of did the same thing, right? Or, just learning new things, just buying houses with credit, or just other ways to get houses with credit, other loans, just a whole bunch of different angles you could come at one thing. If you want to buy a house, there's not only one way to buy a house. If you want to fix someone's credit, there's not only one way to fix someone's credit. There's very multiple ways to do things. So that's a big value too, because maybe one thing doesn't resonate well with you. You don't like to, talk to people on the phone, or you don't like to do this. So you're going to go a different route. There's another person there who's most likely done the route you want to take. So it's
Right.
right. So it's more, just having all the tools available to you, opposed to, not. Then it's a lot easier when you do have the tools to do a job,
Right.
no matter what job it is.
Right. And it's been what, around like 2 years, almost 3 years since I did that first alpha program, right?
Mhm.
So, again, I know you have multiple businesses because of the program, but what would you say your outcome as of today is, like, as Nick the person? Like, what would you say you have as of right now because of this course?
Well, I know I have a lot more knowledge than I did before I took the course. It
And why is
helped me,
that important, by the way? Because there is a lot of knowledge out there, right? But
but it's just the type of knowledge you get. It's good knowledge or bad knowledge. I mean, you can teach somebody how to count 1 to 10 so many different ways, right? I mean, you could skip 2, skip 5. You don't need to do 3. 7 doesn't really make any sense, so why do it? But you know, um,
so you
yeah,
save a lot of time, it sounds like,
exactly. It
right?
takes a lot of time.
Because a lot of people, I tell people how to fix their credit for free all the time, right? And we do
Totally.
it collectively. But you come to find out 2, 3 years later, right? They say they didn't even get past the first page of the PDF, right? And unfortunately, if they don't have a coach or someone to walk them through it, who are we to say based on that it's that, right? Again, there's a lot of times we do get it right, right?
Mhm.
We can tell if this type of collection from this day from this company most likely is this right? But when they get mad, or when they try the process doesn't work out, they get mad at us because they didn't fully try to read the information, right?
Mhm.
Compared to, and I always say this all the time, like, I'm literally in the program holding your hand and walking you through every step of the way to making sure you get the answer and you understand the answer,
Yeah,
right?
and it wasn't like a 1 day thing. Like most of these
Yeah.
classes are just like, oh, it's only like a 4 hour class, 6 hour class. No, we had a whole weekend. We were going through a bunch of stuff like every day, and it was a good amount of the day. It's not like it was like, oh, let's hurry up and get this through. I got
Right.
you this money. I'm just trying to teach you the shit and dip.
Right.
So it's a lot of valuable information, and not only does it change, maybe what you know about credit, but it might change your mindset in general, like how you think about anything. Once because I'm sure everybody wants to start a business, doesn't know how, or doesn't know what it takes to start a business. It's not as easy as just making an LLC and getting EIN. You
Right.
know, and sometimes we still don't know how to do that sometimes. So you learn all of that stuff pretty much in there, and then your mindset will kind of change because you see other like-minded individuals doing the same things or being successful, and they're telling you what they did, or how what obstacles they jumped through to accomplish what they accomplished. And it kind of just opens your eyes, like, okay, it's not as easy as just this, and just starting it and like making a post and then people are going to sign up.
Right.
It's a lot of little legwork, and it's also a lot of knowledge. And if obviously, if we don't know what we're talking about, no one's ever going to want us to fix their credit, right?
Right.
Because
Or
credit
even
is
fixing your own credit.
exactly, because a lot of people, the credit is kind of scary to a lot of people, just because we don't know what it is, or we think it's a scam or this and that, blah blah blah. So knowing what you're talking about, being able to comprehend it and being able to speak to people, who's may not have the same, vocabulary as you. Being able to fluctuate, being able to speak to different types of people, and knowing that is also good as well too.
Right. Because, when it does come to fixing your own credit and like helping other people fix their credit, right? Not only do you have to talk to, when you are fixing your credit, you do have to communicate with the bureaus, right? You got to communicate with the creditors. You got to communicate with the people that regulate the bureaus, right? You got to communicate with the same language that the laws have to the bureaus, right? There's a lot of different things that a lot of people don't know, and they think they can just write a random letter, right, to the bureau and just hope that this item gets removed or updated, when in fact they probably just made it worse and they just reactivated the negative item.
Yeah.
And they wonder why why their score dropped even lower, right?
And that's one thing too people don't understand with credit is we all have different accounts. We all have different types of things, the way they're reporting. So not one letter, if one letter worked for me, it doesn't mean it's going to 100% work for you if you use it, even if we have the same account, because we still have, there's a lot of factors that go into your credit, and also what you're going to put into your letters.
Right.
The more realistic and the more not copy and pasty it seems like,
Right.
the better it's going to seem.
Right. And also too, Nick, just to kind of piggyback on your comment. So I know when we did this program 3 years ago, we probably got a day's worth of information in the application, right? And the little communications we have here and there. Obviously, for the last year, you've been seeing me implement a lot of different things, right? To kind of prepare for this new ride of credit repair and how to prepare people to set themselves up for success for fixing their credit. Again, that program was maybe equate to half a day, right? So what I didn't tell you, I just want to get your live reaction, and we won't say the price, right, that people invested. But for the program I'm going to release, we're going to give them up to 6 weeks worth of support. So that's why you haven't been seeing me out and about other than social media, right? So know that you're getting 6 weeks of support, right? With all the stuff there is now compared to your program, other than you might feeling like you got ripped off a little bit, right? But obviously you still get to message me directly. But what do you think these next set of people should prepare for, knowing that they are going to get 6 weeks of handholding and new updates and all that?
I would say you should take it seriously. If you're really going to go in there, you should really take it seriously, and you should have a notebook and a pencil and anything else you use to take notes, a highlighter, freaking sticky notes, whatever you want, whatever you need to help it make sense for you. Because and ask questions, ask a bunch of questions. And if there's something you don't know, don't be afraid to say, can you repeat that again? Or this and that, because there's probably other people who don't understand either. That's why everybody's in the class. That's why they're taking the workshop, and that's why they're trying to learn. So don't be afraid to ask the questions that of why you're there,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, can you share my rule about questions and how I coach people, like from what you see, and like what is your experience of like when someone feels like they have a dumb question, but we all know there's nothing to dumb questions, right? But like, what would you see your experience of me not only training you, but training others and coaching others when it comes to fixing their credit?
Well, you never make anyone feel bad for not knowing something or for asking the question that there's no such thing as a dumb question, but some people say like, that's dumb. Like you don't know that. There's never that moment between you and whoever's asking the question. And that doesn't mean, and that can be from anybody. It could be from someone who's new with credit, someone who is very well versed in credit, someone who is just in between. It doesn't matter. So you never give that, that disrespectful, like, oh, you're above everybody type of thing. It's very, oh no, that's fine. This is how we do it. This and that. Even if you heard that question 100 times, because I've heard you answer a couple of questions that, a lot, we probably answer the same questions all the time. Right. And it's never an annoyance. Like I'm sure no one ever gets the feeling that they're annoying you, or right. That they shouldn't have asked that question because now they feel dumber for even asking. Right. So there's no, and it's cliche, but there is no such thing as a dumb question, especially with credit.
Right. And why, obviously, because there's no need to get annoyed, right? But like you actually fixing your own credit and now starting to fix other people's credit, like why do you see that's the approach that me, you, and others decide to take, right? Like obviously there's a lot of information or a lot of sensitive information, a lot of different processes. So why do you think that's the best approach, or like one of the best approaches to when it comes to coaching, people in the program?
Um, because I mean, you can't really, I mean, if you're coaching somebody, that's what you're there for, right? Like you're there to make someone better. And so even if something is a redundant question, I mean, taking that approach is, especially as a leader, because we both led a lot of people too. You need to make people feel open to come talk to you. They should want to approach you and ask you those questions, even if they are on the scale of smart and not smart, whatever, wherever they may be on that scale. And then, when I'm coaching people, when I'm fixing their credit, I always still let them know too, hey, feel free to ask me anything. Even if you think that it's very simple or something like that, just feel free to ask me. It's not a big deal. Even if I answered your question 5 times already, or you just asked it 2 minutes ago, we're still going to go over it again. It's like, oh, okay, so we need to go over it again. Let's go over it again. No big deal.
Right.
So it's okay. I mean, that's what we're there for too. So I'm not going to really let nobody go to the next step until I know that they're ready to go to that next step. Instead of, just kind of, okay, let's just get this done. And, now you're out of my way, you're out of my hair. No, that's not how we do things. Because then, now it kind of affects in the long run. We want to do things the right way and make sure people understand why we're doing them.
Right. And, going into, now you have a 700 credit score, right? 720 credit score. Okay. Obviously it's rising because the only thing that's stopping is because, for people to think like after 3 years, you can just get magically an 800 score. It's very hard that's going to happen unless you get hooked up, right? That's a lot of big misconception. And obviously people don't know, well, it's not obvious, but people don't know the same benefits you get at a 720 score. The same benefits you get at 800, you also can get at a 720, right? A lot of people don't know that. But like, now having the 720 plus score, right? Like, how has life changed? I know it might not, other than just the number, right? There's a lot of things that come with a good score other than just starting the businesses. Like, so, what are some of those things that people might not be aware of other than just, hey, I got a cool score that you can check out?
Well, obviously buying a house,
Yep.
starting a business, if you want to come out of leverage your credit to start a business. Buying a car. We all buy cars, and we probably all get a high interest in our cars because we don't know how to properly get the car the right way, or we have a lower credit score or something like that. Those are 2 big things for me, because before I really got into credit, I only really had like a car loan and like 1 credit card, and I think student loan. So I didn't really know anything about it like that, but I did know that my credit score affected my car payment. That was the big thing I knew. So yeah, that was the main thing. Like for me, it was I wanted to get at first I wanted to have a good credit score to have a good enough car to not have a super high payment that I shouldn't be paying. And then it ended up turning out, also having a good credit score is just, you never really want to have to worry about anything. Like if you're always going to need your credit at some point, if you need a house, or if you're going to take a loan out, or in any way, if you're just going to get a credit card, like you're going to need it. And to have that peace of mind to be like, oh yeah, go ahead, run my credit, it's whatever, instead of being like, oh, I can't really do that right now. It kind of just opens more doors. And instead of kind of like not having doors open, and now you're kind of limited to some of the things that you can and can't do, or you can still do those things, but now you got to do them a certain way, and it's going to cost you a lot more money, and it's a little more hassle, opposed to having a fairly decent credit score that you can bypass all those hoops and all that other stuff, and then you can just just go about it.
Right. Like even like the feeling, right, of walking in knowing you'll get approved, right? We won't even talking about not having to put a down payment for a car, right? We won't even talk about the fact that, what people are usually getting for like a Toyota, they can get also for like a fully loaded Maserati for the same payment, right? We won't even talk about the perks of traveling because of good credit, right? But just the feeling of knowing you're getting approved no matter what. Explain that feeling. Appropriate.
I mean, it kind of feels like privilege, to be honest. Like you feel privileged in a way. It's like, oh yeah, you're walking into a place probably, not looking at your feet no more, just are looking at you straight up, yeah, I'm ready. Like, it's more, it's more prepared. Like if you ever walk into something unprepared, you're scared, you're nervous, you don't know what the hell is going to happen. But if you come into something and you know you're prepared and you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, then it's like it's a lot more confident feeling.
Right. And obviously, you know, because of the person you are, I know that you would be successful whatever you do, right? And it's showing in your own credit, and now you helping other people fix their credit, right? But where would, if you didn't take this course, right? If you didn't take this like this program, you know, where do you think you would be credit wise? I think personally you would still get there, but how much longer do you think it would have taken, or you know,
How
where
much more
would
money it would have cost me?
yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, like I mean, let's just say if I took those courses before I took your course, I mean, I probably would have gained some knowledge, of course, that I didn't know before, but you know, maybe it wasn't working out. So I was like, okay, maybe I should go get this course and see if it's like that. And they all kind of end up being the same. So you can really just end up, you know, before you get to the goal that you're trying to get to, you can either waste a lot of time and a lot of money. And that's two things that, you know, yeah, we can always get money back, but we can't always get time back. Right. So those are just two main things. Like if I didn't take your course before, let's say I took other people's courses, then I would have wasted way more thousands of dollars. I would have probably wasted four more months, like a quarter of the year, maybe even more, because you know you're taking time to do things and to learn and implement, and then you figure out that's not really the way you want to do it, so you got to start over, you know. So yeah, I mean that's just two of the main things is time and money.
Yeah. And not to knock anyone's course, right? There are some good courses out there, right? But what we will say in the credit repair space is that, you know, it is up and coming trend, right? For a lot of entrepreneurs right now, right? The thing is, a big factor that Nick always tells me is, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, right? Compared to a lot of people that just do it for some time, right? And a lot of people, even from, you know, the beginning of the pandemic that were teaching courses and teaching people, I don't know, me and Nick talked about this the other day, but I think they're in the witness protection program because we can't find anything, you know, where they're at now, right? Or what they probably learned was what was the process to doing at that time, but because it's not the new process now, and because process has been updated, and you know, whether it's their unwillingness to learn or whatever, they kind of just took the money and they're happy where they're at, right? And I know for myself, you know, I've always had good mentors growing up in business, and I always the type of mentor I want to be is just the one I wish I had, right? And I know that's something you inspire with your friends and you know, and our friends, and you know, it's just that's just one thing that I'm passionate about when it comes to financial stuff, is because we're giving back, and we just, you know, we don't want people getting screwed over, because there's a lot of people that are hiring people for credit repair, and it's either generic credit repair or they're just wasting time because the person took their money and left, or they're using old processes. So, you know, we just want to make sure we give back to the community in that regard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anyone watching that's on the fence right now about, or even like, you know, they're hesitant about booking a call to speak to me about joining the program, right? They're on the fence, they don't know. Like, what would you say to them other than like, okay, just take the notes? You know what I mean? Like, what would you say to them to, if they have any doubts or thoughts or whatever it is they might have?
Well, first I would ask them their doubts and pretty much address each doubt. But to put all the doubts in the whole, I would just give them my experience and tell them pretty much why they should join the group. You know, you're going to learn how to fix your credit. You're going to learn how to, you know, leverage your credit. And you're going to be around a lot of people who are going to actual people who can really help and answer any question you pretty much have. And you're not going to get that from anywhere else. Trust me, because I've taken other courses that aren't like this course. So I can tell you right now, all these courses, you're not going to get the same benefits and the same, you know, value of information that you're going to get from other places that I've taken. So I would just pretty much use my own experience to talk them off the fence and just say, just book the call, man.
Right. so just take out that fear of doubt, right? Because
yeah,
people probably invest in courses and it's instant loss because that person left somewhere, right? Or this person that they want to get coached on doesn't know a new process, right? And you know, speaking about new processes, like we were just talking about the other day, right? Even to this day, me and you still find out what's new, what's going to be the best for our clients, and what's the best for our credits, right? So anything else you want to share about people that might booked a call or might have some kind of doubts, whether it's me or the program, like, anything else you would share?
I'll just say, stop all the doubt. There's nothing to doubt. I mean, we have success stories, we have results. We also, our lines are always open. Your line is always open. Comments, likes, all that, any of that stuff. If you have any doubts or any questions, I mean, always ask. And if you're really serious, then book the call. See what can be done. I mean, at the least, you know what you have, what's on your credit report, and maybe the steps moving forward if you were going to go for yourself. So, and that's way more than you did before you ever booked any call. So at least you have the answers, and even if you don't, you're still on a call with somebody, you can still get any question answered. We're not going to turn anybody away, right? We're going to answer anybody's question, no matter what. But the call is very valuable, and it's very worth it's worth getting on the phone or getting on a Zoom. And you can also, I think a lot of people don't really Zoom either. Like, we don't really see a lot of their faces. We have like a sales representative, or we have like some other guy or something else before you talk to the person that you thought you were going to talk to, So
Nick, who's on every phone support call that you call?
what do you mean, who's on every phone support?
So when you call my team for support, who ends up picking up the call and being on the call?
You.
Right? Every time?
Yeah.
It's not like a Facebook group where we just post it on the, obviously, we're gonna post a lot of value in the group, and there's a tons of value in the group already, right, from what we just started. But you guys, we know what it takes to fix credit. We've been doing it for a long time now, right? And if we don't know, which sometimes we might not know because of the new process, guess what? We have the right resources to get there, right?
Mhm.
Myself and Nick, we invest a lot of money when learning to credit, right? We piggyback off of each other's ideas. And because of it, again, Nick has over a 720 credit score. I have almost close to 8 credit score. And there's a bunch of us that know what to do. And again, there's a lot of processes out there, a lot of time to learn, but there's also a lot of time to be wasted if not taken serious, right? So with that being said, let me see if there's anything else. Let me see if there's any questions. Let's give a little Q&A.
Yeah, any questions
Has
out
any
there?
questions, feel free to put them in the chat if you haven't already. Okay, let me see. I think I got something. Okay. Okay, there we're good. So I'm going to use this time to actually share again. So if you guys haven't seen the news already, we are launching, or specifically me, I'm launching our Fix Your Credit Coaching beta program. So again, I haven't done one of these for almost 3 years. Nick was a part of that program. Obviously, you guys see where Nick is today. Nick's got results earlier than 3 years, right? A lot of that growth happened in the first, how many months, how many weeks you would say that happened?
I mean, I think once I started applying, certain credit stuff, it was probably like 2 months. I started seeing stuff. I started fixing my parents' credit first, my mom's and stuff, simultaneously with mine, and building at the same time. So it was literally probably 2 months before I started saying, oh, stuff actually works. Yeah.
So in the program, you guys will be able to bring your credit report, your specific credit report. We're going to give you you'll have an onboarding call where I specifically make a game plan for you for your credit, right? On the coaching calls, we're going to be going through, the details of your credit report, making sure you answer all your questions, giving you that full support, right? I'm only going to be accepting 10 people in this program, right? First come, first serve. And already people are getting spots on it and they're working it out. So, the final cutoff is going to be next week. We're still implementing everything else, but the course is launched. So if you are seeing this and you are interested, I'm going to go ahead and post a calendar link to go ahead and book a call to share more about that. And again, we're here to fix your credit. We're here to make sure everything is smooth, and we want to get you in that big credit score and get you walking the way you should be walking, because your credit is talking the way it should be talking. So other than that, feel free to message me directly or comment beta below. Nick, any other questions, comments, concerns you want to say? You did a great job, by the way. You killed it on this call.
Thank you.
Anything you
I
wanna
would say
share?
if you're on the fence of taking the class, make sure you comment beta on the thing. You're not going to regret taking the class. I got a weekend. This is going to be 6 weeks. There's going to be a lot of information there. It's a lot of valuable information.
And maybe even surprised, because I'm going to say right now, maybe Nick might be in some calls. Who knows? Who knows? All right, y'all. Well, I just want to say thank y'all for your time. Comment beta below. Reach out to me via DM because the DMs are flooded, and we'll go ahead and get you scheduled in. Talk to you later. Peace.